Good evening and welcome. Thank you for coming to the 2024 League of Women Voters Annual Spring Candidates Night. My name is Nancy Farris and I am a member of the Westwood Walpole Dedham League of Women Voters. The League is a nonpartisan, multi-issue organization whose purpose is to encourage the informed and active participation of citizens in government and to influence public policy through education and advocacy, embedding aspects of diversity, equity, and inclusion into programming and action. It supports neither party nor person, but strives to inform the voters as to issues and the qualifications of candidates. This year, there is only one contested town-wide race on the ballot and contests in Precinct 4 and 8 for representative town meeting members. This forum is being taped and will be available tomorrow on Walpole Media TV, YouTube, and Comcast Channel 8 and Verizon 31. Candidates for moderator, select board, and assessor have graciously agreed to speak this evening about their respective boards and answer a few questions from the moderator and audience. The contested candidates for the Sewer and Water Commission will introduce themselves and take questions from the moderator. The format will include 2-minute introductory comments from each candidate, followed by a series of questions. Each candidate will have time for 1-minute responses, followed by 2-minute closings. Candidates for representative town meeting seats have been invited to prepare and present brief introductions before the end of this meeting as well. Ms. Sue Flycott from the Wayland League of Women Voters will once again serve as our moderator. Sue brings with her many years of experience dealing with voter service issues. Please join me in welcoming Sue to the podium.
Thank you all. So tonight we're going to start with, we've got 3 parts. We're going to start with candidates for uncontested races. And the first candidate is for moderator. We have James Brady. If you'd like to come up. So we've asked the candidates for uncontested races to speak a little about themselves, and I have a few questions, probably a few softball questions to answer.
Certainly. Thank you, Sue. Nice to meet you earlier. My name is Jim Brady. I am from Walpole originally. I graduated from Walpole High School in 1972. I then served in the United States Navy Seabees from 1972 to 1976. Came home. I was a professional musician and a carpenter for a number of years, and then went back to college and eventually law school. I've been practicing law since 1985 at 1068 Main Street in Walpole. I am a former moderator. When Dan Bruce, I learned that Dan Bruce was no longer going to continue as the moderator, I called him, I asked him why. He said he was just too busy. When I was moderator from 1996 to 2004, for those who have been around a while, it was a very interesting time at the town of Walpole. We were doing a lot of things with schools, and we bought the Adams Farm. There was a lot of work that we did. And I asked Dan why he was stepping down. He was stepping down for the same reason I did. I just got too busy. It was too demanding at the time. So my time is freed up a bit, and I'm happy to step back into the ring and try to help out. I think Walpole's a wonderful community. I raised my children here. I was born and raised here myself, and I think we can always improve our community. The job of the moderator, as most of you know, and for those who don't, has two essential functions. First, the moderator is to run the town meeting, in my opinion, in an efficient manner, but with the idea that every voice should be heard. I took the opportunity to attend the last Monday night's town meeting. I thought Dan Bruce did a superb job, and I like some of the changes that he instituted, and I'm going to probably maintain or keep some of those changes. But I really am a firm believer that all voices should be heard. As my father used to say, you should listen twice as much as you speak. This is why God gave you 2 ears in 1 mouth. So that is my primary function, I think, as the moderator. The second is the appointments. The moderator appoints the Finance Committee and the Capital Budget. When I was moderator before, I used to do the Personnel Board, but that no longer is applicable. In terms of appointments, I use what is called the reasonably prudent person rule, and that is, you're spending taxpayers' money, It's not your money, it's somebody else's money. It doesn't mean you don't spend money, but you spend it very wisely, prudently. So that's what I look for when I make appointments to both the capital budget and to the finance committee. I think I can contribute, and I kindly ask for your vote on June 1st.
Thank you. Actually, our first question for you is about the appointments. The question is, how do you plan to balance appointments to the Finance Committee and the Capital Budget Committee?
I did that before. I look for people from different political perspectives. I think that's important to get a good balance on the committee. And the finance committee that I had previously was just that. There were a number of people that I asked to be on the finance committee, and one guy in particular said, "Why would you want me?" At the time, the school issue was very, very hotly debated in the town. He was a very, very anti-school type person. And I put him on the committee just for that reason. And I was pleased. And he actually called me about a year later and said, "I want to stay on. I've learned so much." And he did. And he's, unfortunately, the gentleman passed away. If he was around today, I'd put him back on in a heartbeat. But yeah, I think you've got to have balance. You've got to have different points of view.
Thank you. Another question that came in from the audience is, when deliberating on the financial interests of many diverse groups in town, how do you define necessary? As in, is it necessary?
Interesting question. Well, in all honesty, the moderator does not deliberate on those issues. It's the finance committee that deliberates on those issues. So I'm not asked as the moderator to weigh in. In fact, I think the moderator should not be weighing in on those issues. The moderator's job is to be impartial. It's almost like an umpire in a baseball game. You call the balls and strikes. You don't weigh in on issues. And I never did when I was, although I had personal beliefs on certain issues, I hoped and I would like to think that I didn't let my personal bias enter into the discussion so as to sway where the town meeting goes. I think the town meeting knows, there's a lot of very, very intelligent people that participate in town government, and they know exactly their positions, and they make those known on the floor. My job as the moderator is to make sure that their voices are heard.
So one question that we sort of gave you in advance was if you see any changes on the horizon, as being moderator. You said that you would be keeping a lot of the changes that Mr. Bruce brought in.
Yeah.
So maybe you can elaborate
Sure.
on which changes you're going to keep
Yeah,
and what you're going to change.
Thank you, sorry, step none. I love what he did with this consensus vote. I think it's very effective, and what it is basically is, they had 14 articles last Monday. There were, I think, 4 articles or so that nobody put a hold on the articles. They weren't terribly controversial. And so what they do is they lump them into one vote and say, if there's no objection, we're going to vote these on a consensus basis. They take, if it's a simple majority, they vote it, and those articles are passed. And it really streamlined the time frame. I know when previously it would take us 2 or 3 nights to get through the warrant, but we also had 50 articles in the warrant back then. If this was a 14-article warrant, by the consensus vote, Dan was able to really reduce the time frame, and I like that immensely. I thought that was very smart. I also think the way that he changed I don't know if it was him or maybe Mr. Rockwood who did it, but they now have the microphones down front. We used to have runners, and we'd go to the runners, and unfortunately, apparently they can't find high school students to do the running anymore. So they bring the microphones down front, and I think it's pretty effective. I like the way that was handled. So I think I will keep the microphones down front, and we'll keep the consensus. And I may expand a little bit on this 3-minute rule. I don't know. I'm not sure 3 minutes is enough time to get your point across, but we'll see how that works.
Okay, great. Thank you. Are there any questions from the audience here tonight?
Yes?
Yes. We, pre-COVID, had tried out electronic voting at town meeting. Do you think you might reintroduce that?
Probably not. They have I notice he does these cards now. I like the card idea because sometimes when it's a voice vote and it's a close vote, it's tough to tell because no carries harder. No is an easier thing than a yes is. I think we'll stay with the cards. To be honest with you, I don't know what that would entail. That's something the Board of Selectmen would have to authorize, I think. It's going to be some sort of an expenditure to have an electronic vote on it. I don't think we're at the point where we need it, to be honest with you. But, people think that we need it, we should talk about it. Great question.
Any other questions? Well, thank you, Mr. Brady.
Thank you, and thank you very much, everyone.
Safe travels.
We have our next candidate, is Mr. Zaccaro here? Richard Zaccaro? Nancy is going to read a statement from Richard Zaccaro, who is a candidate for Board of Assessors. Oh.
Mr. Zaccaro was not sure he would be able to make it, so he did send a message, and since it is again an uncontested position, we said we would take care of it. The greatest successes and challenges to the Board of Assessors: to represent the taxpayers of Walpole with honesty, integrity, and a fair, equitable tax split between the four property tax categories, being residential, commercial, industrial, and land. We also strive to provide the taxpayers with as much tax relief as possible through abatements, tax deferrals, tax credits, tax increment financing, work programs, elderly tax breaks, and accurate property appraisals, reflecting current real estate market trends. Next important steps for the Board of Assessors. Our biggest challenge is to prevent people leaving our town because they can no longer sustain the increase in our tax rates, especially the elderly and those on limited fixed incomes. We must find a solution to this problem by pursuing alternate methods of making the taxes more affordable. One possible solution would be to indefinitely freeze the residential tax rate and assess property value of our seniors who have lived in town for a fixed number of years and meet certain income requirements. Future changes for the Board of Assessors. We must continue to ensure our residents that we will provide them with fair taxation and transparent representation and keep them well informed of any new tax laws that may assist them by working closely with our town, county, and state officials. As an elected public board, we must also collectively and effectively openly communicate and closely work with the taxpayers who voted for us to represent their better interests as residents of the town of Walpole. Our oath of office that we swore to uphold must at all times be carried out without bias, discrimination, nor prejudice for all. And this is from our current BOA member, Richard Zaccaro, who is running unopposed for this coming year.
Thank you, Nancy. We will have two candidates for the select board who will speak a little later as we're waiting for them both to be here. Other candidates for uncontested races, I'm just going to read them. They were not able to join us tonight. I just want to make sure there are some prizes on the ballot for people. For the school committee, we have William Buckley and Jennifer Geositz. For library trustee, there's a vacant space. Planning board, Catherine Turco-Abate, and housing authority, Peter Vitro. So these will be names that you'll see on the ballot. We have one contested race that we're going to get to now for Sewer and Water Commission. So I'd like to invite the three candidates to come up and take a seat at the table. We should have a third candidate. Yes, Michael. Oh, watch out for the wire. Oh. All right, so we have three candidates for the Sewer and Water Commission. This is a 3-year term, and you will vote for two of these people. We have Michael Cialella, Patrick Fasanello, and Pradeep Mishra. We are going to begin with opening statements that are 2 minutes each, and we're going to go in the order their names will appear on the ballot. When we get to closing statements, we'll do the reverse order. So we're going to go to Patrick first. 2 minutes to you.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank the League of Women Voters and Patrick, Walpole Media, and Sue, and the two Nancys. I thank you all. And I appreciate the opportunity to connect with you folks and you to get to know me better. Okay. Some information about water and sewer, or sewer and water, so you want to look at it. Walpole Sewage is treated and disposed of by the Massachusetts Water Resource Authority, for which we pay them a fee. That every year seems to go up higher and higher. So our sewage is taken care of by the authority, which is a state-run authority. Walpole water, however, is produced by our 2 municipal well systems, and our water rates are almost the exact average of the Eastern Massachusetts community water rates. We're right basically in the middle. And I'd like to keep it that way, and I fully support a 2.5% cap on water rates. Walpole has currently 2 aquifers that meet the needs of the town at this point. However, as you probably realize, large-scale development that's occurring will need new infrastructure and supply. And I'm running for commissioner because my philosophy is to produce the best water at the most cost-efficient price and to protect the water from environmental and political damage. So why vote for me? Okay, my experience includes working full-time for a city water department while in college and in graduate school. Also, I hold a Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, excuse me, drinking water certificate. And to keep that, I have kept up with all the current regulations, and my time is up, right, Sue? And please vote for Patrick Fasanello on June 1st, and thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And Pradeep, 2 minutes to you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Pradeep Mishra. I'm running for the Board of Water and Sewer.
Can you just speak a little closer into the mic?
Sure.
Thank you.
I think, here you go.
That's good. Just a little bit introduction about myself. I'm a long-time resident of Walpole, and I'm happy to raise my 2 kids here in Walpole school system. I've been RTM and board member from last 3 years. I'm working with Patrick and other board members to make sure that the water and sewer system in Walpole remains top of the line. My main purpose for election 3 years back was to check on the irregular billing and high cost of water and sewer, and that was to, at the time when we switched from simple flat rate to tier system. A tier system is where the water rates are charged based on the family size, and the 4-tier system was introduced, which impacted the residents of Walpole, especially the families. So after that, when bills started coming, no one was ready to explain the reason of high bills. You know, it was hard to basically ask questions and find out why the bills are going up. So I went for it, and my previous experience with other utilities across US, I had worked previously with water utilities in New Jersey, New York, and Maryland to help them improve their customer care and billing systems. So I understand the whole customer care and billing system of water system. So I'm relearning this year again, and I hope you all will help me to make sure that the water departments does the cost, the billing, and your rates are accurate all the time. Thank you.
Thank you. And Michael, 2 minutes to you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. As some of you may know, my name is Michael Cialola, and I'm a member of the community, raising a family in town. And have over 10 years' experience working with multiple municipal water and sewer departments. And very recently, just took a lead for a local college's drinking water system. And again, running for the board because there's still many important decisions coming up that will have a big impact on the future of Walpole water and sewer. Obviously, this MWRA connection has been a pretty hot topic. But one thing I haven't heard talk about is how we plan to pay for this. And now, for this supplemental connection, mind you, now that we're seeing some real numbers, I question if this is the right decision. My worry is that if we go this route, we still might need a major upgrade to an aging treatment system. And if that happens, it'll be an emergency expense that we can't get around because this connection isn't large enough to handle a treatment plant shutdown. And I've been part of multiple new water treatment plant builds for different municipalities, and both of which have turned out to cost less than this connection will cost. And a new treatment plant is a very low maintenance way to produce water for years to come. Now, is this the right solution? I don't know, but it's at least a good discussion we should have, and we really need to talk about all possibilities. And updating infrastructure is very important, but at the same time, the board has to be smart about it. With increasing tax assessment, inflation, and everything else, we owe it to the taxpayers to be fiscally responsible with our water and sewer upgrades. We need to. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, we're gonna, that was a good segue into our first question. We're gonna jump right in, and Pradeep, you're gonna be first on this question. Is it time to join the MWRA? What would be the positives and negatives to doing so?
I agree that we should join MWRA, especially because the growth of population and the other things which are happening around us, the MBTs, zoning and others. The MWRA water is already supplied to more than 16 to 20 communities in Boston metro area. Norwood has, Westwood has the same water. But the cost is more important. At what cost? So we have been getting the numbers from the town administration, and the option what I have see is that $25 million to pay to Norwood to get a connection from the Norwood. We have to pay Norwood 25 millions to get another water. The second option is to pay Norwood $3 million and have a $5 million pump station in my lot to not have water but have connection, emergency connection. Those options does not look good to me. It won't look good to any of you if somebody will give you $25 million bill. So we want MWRA water, but we want at a price which is affordable to us, to the Walpole community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Michael, the question's to you.
Thank you. Well, as you heard me start to say before, that I just don't think it's really, with the massive cost, it's going to be hard to justify, because we still have our own system that we're going to have to continually upgrade, and we're going to have to put money into it eventually. So I still think that we have plenty of water in town, and there's plenty of communities that have only groundwater, their own water, and they're figuring out ways to make it happen. I think we need to just find a way to be more efficient with our water usage. There's a lot of towns over the last 15 years, including towns on MWRA, have found ways to lower their water consumption while also increasing their population. So, I don't think we'll have a problem with our water. We're just got to be smarter about it and be efficient. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Patrick, the question to you.
Okay.
Wait for the microphone.
Thank you.
You can actually take the mic out of there. That's easier out of the stand.
Okay. I'm the representative from the town to the MWRA. I have been for the last 20 years. MWRA, because of all the people being very conscious of the water they use, tends to have a lot of water. And this water is contained in, you probably know, Quabbin Reservoir out in the middle of Massachusetts. Well, MWRA is dumping the water because the reservoir is full. And every time they dump the water, they're losing money. So, the advisory board, which I'm a member of, said, why can't we waive some fees and let the towns have some of this water that we're dumping into the Connecticut River? I mean, it's the best water. By the way, the Boston water, or the Quabbin water, is, and you can, not just making this up, is the best municipal water in the entire United States. So that's something that it's amazing. Anyway, the vis-a-vis Walpole, why should we even think about joining Quabbin? Well, as you know, we have a big company, I think it's called Siemens, and that company uses, will use, the capacity of one of our wells, entire well. And we could make that up in a bunch of different ways. We could seize water from a neighboring community, or we could drill wells, and my time is up, but tomorrow evening at 7:30 in this room, we will have a question and answer time, and I can tell you then some of the other options we have, especially about Quabbin.
Okay, thank you. All right, Michael, this next question is to you. If we can get the mic down there. How will changes in weather, extreme rain or drought, affect policy? And is there or can there be long-term plan?
Well, I mean, obviously it's hard to predict what type of weather we're gonna get. We have heavy rains one year and a big drought. But the DEP, kind of dictates the droughts, and obviously with groundwater, if there's a big drought on, they'll, put more restrictions on. But at the same time, even if we had another source of water, they could restrict our own water. So if we had a 1 million gallon connection, they could say, okay, we're lowering your groundwater 1 million gallons. But I think just the long-term plan is just keep being more efficient. I think there's plenty of water, but there's going to be droughts here and there, but I don't think we have to go crazy and spend crazy money just because we're worried about something like that. I don't see it being an issue in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Patrick, the question to you next. Do you want me to repeat the question?
Same question.
Yeah, same question.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Quabbin Reservoir is 72 miles away. It is all downhill, which is important when you're dealing with water. When the town realized that there was no entrance fee, they got interested in basically buying a piece of Quabbin, because if you own it, you always have it. And right now, we can get along with
So,
the water we have.
I'm sorry to interrupt. The question was, how will changes in weather, extreme rain or drought affect policy? This was the
I
same
haven't
question.
got there yet.
Okay, but you only have,
But there's always questions and
that's
answers
fine, you can
tomorrow
answer
night.
whatever question you want.
It's
Just
a
tell me
shame.
what I asked.
If it did not rain one drop from now on, for 10 years, Quabbin could supply the current amount of water to the communities that they service now, plus the waste that they're overflowing. So one of the ways we would ensure ourselves about drought would be to have a piece of the Quabbin Reservoir. It's our insurance policy, basically. And when you figure what it's gonna cost us just to join and have a piece of that, and when that's put over, you know, let's say a 20-year bond or something, it's very reasonable and should not affect the water rates to any great degree.
Okay, great, thank you, I'm sorry to interrupt. Brittany?
Please repeat the question.
Yes.
Yeah, it's in
How-
context.
How will changes in weather, meaning extreme rain or drought, affect policy? And is there or can there be long-term planning?
So yes, it does affect the water and sewer rates. We plan for bare minimum requirement for our town, and we have license to pump based on the population. So the license is given by DEP, and the summer restriction, what you see is based on the meters which are installed by DEP across different places in town. How does it affect Walpole communities? We basically plan to keep 20% reserve in our water and sewer rates so that we can buy waters or have emergency connection with other towns to purchase the water during the drought time. Rain time, that means people may not use more water. That also means that we may have less bills coming up. So those things happen, and we try to plan it by having an extra 20% of cash reserve available called retained earning in our budget. So that's the financial part of it. Other than that, we basically sense notification. We have introduced new water meters where it will come soon to everyone, where you can monitor your hourly water uses. You can see your water uses for last 4 or 5 months, or you can see the last hour of your water things that will help consumer, you to decide how you want to use the water and preserve the water. So there's a lot of technology coming up, a lot of policies coming up, which will help us to fight with the drought and rain. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Our next question, we're going to start with Patrick. So we can move the mic a little. Do you support the use of retained earnings to offset sewer and water rates?
Yes.
Okay, do you want to elaborate, or?
Using retained earnings is a good idea sometimes, especially to keep the rates on an even keel. You don't want rates going up and down and up and down. Retained earnings helps us to keep a kind of a level type of rate structure so that maybe it will go up 2.5% each year. Oh, this year, by the way, the rates are going up 1%. So that's something you should know about. And retained earnings helps us to do that. So that's the long answer.
Okay,
So,
thank you. And Pradeep, the question to you.
Yeah, I agree with Patrick that retained earning should be used, especially when there's a drought or some emergency situation, to streamline the water rate increase. And as he mentioned, last year there was only 1% water rate increase, but also there was 25% above budget water, which came to retain earnings. So we spent $1.5 million extra on buying the infrastructure equipments for the water department. So it does help to basically average out the rate increase, but it also helps to keep the infrastructure improved when there's a lot of retained earning.
Okay, thank you. And Michael, question to you.
Like these gentlemen said, I guess retained earnings can be kind of good, but it's also a double-edged sword, because like you're saying, oh, we're increasing 1%, but you're kind of hiding that increase, right? If you're using these retained earnings. And so it's kind of just, it's kind of hiding some certain things. So, I mean, obviously infrastructure are always going to need to increase and have money ready to go, so it's good to have it for when we need it. But, you know, just another thing we'd be smart about and try to spend wisely when we need to.
Okay, thank you. So we are on our last question, and we're going to start with Pradeep. How would you collaborate with the DPW and the S&W superintendent?
So DPW, actually the water department works under DPW, I think. And the water superintendent is basically our point of contact, but most of the time DPW superintendent is available. We, from all the ratepayers, from the water and sewer budget, pay to DPW also. We pay through as a chargeback to the DPW. And we basically pay for equipment and maintenance of DPW's equipments also. And that runs almost 20% of our budget goes as a chargeback to the town of Walpole for all the services they provide. So we understand the role played by different town employees and town departments to help water department runs efficiently. And we do work with them efficiently most of the time.
Okay, thank you. And Patrick, the question to you?
I'd like you to repeat the question.
Sure. How would you collaborate with the DPW and S&W superintendent?
Okay. The Sewer and Water Commission and the Water Department are really two separate things. The Sewer and Water Commission makes policy. It sets rates, it establishes fountains, and basically is your guardian of the public water system. The Department of Public Works is run by the town administration. They're the people who go out there and fix the leaks and take care of the system. They check the water to make sure it's complies with all the state and federal standards. And we collaborate with them basically on a daily basis. I mean, we send emails back and forth all the time, or texts. And if you didn't do that, I don't see how you'd have a water system. So you need us to set the policies. You need them to do basically all the work.
Thank you. And Michael, a question to you.
Thank you. Well, I would appreciate a chance to collaborate with the water and sewer superintendent and DPW director, having experience with two local DPWs close by, more specifically water and sewer. I would love to talk about policies on things I've seen in other towns and what they see fit, and just having the knowledge of the stuff they're going to be doing and why they'd be doing it, and just have a back and forth of, well, what about this? So there'll be, endless amount of subjects we'd love to get into them with. It'd be hard to talk about them all now, but just little things last year, like when DPW director mentioned doing leak detection, because they have to do it every 3 years. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's something you should be doing probably every year, because a lot of towns do that because it's important to keep our lost water down and find all those leaks. So, yeah, I would be, they'd probably get sick of me of all the stuff that I've been talking to them about. I would appreciate that opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you. So we're going to go to closing statements, and we're going to do these in reverse order of the opening statements. So that means Michael, hand to the microphone, and a minute to you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I just want to close by saying having someone on the board with experience and knowledge of industry practices can only be a benefit to the town and the board. Someone that can question the department's decisions in real time before it becomes an issue. Just small examples would be, why haven't they flushed hydrants this year rather than a couple of years later? Well, why haven't we done that in 3 years? Or similarly with like leak detection. As a member of the board, we'll figure out the best way to upgrade our infrastructure while also being cost effective. The Department of Environmental Protection will keep increasing restrictions, lead and copper, PFAS are just a few. So we're always going to have things to battle with and costs to deal with. And we'll find the best path to navigate these issues and do what's best for the future of Walpole Water and Sewer. and its residents. Thank you.
Thank you, and Pradeep. Closing comments.
Thanks for listening to us tonight. I'm working to make sure that every family in Walpole get a fair billing, water billing. When you open a tap, you are opening a blank check to the town. A lot of people in the last 3 years have come to us saying that they have received thousands of dollars of water and they don't know how. And it's hard to explain to them that the water was being used, but they were not notified. And it's hard to explain everyone that the water and sewer rates are increasing, it's going to impact their family budget. What we can offer them is a monthly billing plans, monthly billing statements which explain them the whole uses instead of waiting for 3 to 6 months of, let's say, $1,000 of water or $3,000 of water bills. And it will help them not only with managing the family budget, but it will help them find out the leaks, extra uses, or waste of water. So that's the task I have left to do with the town. And with that, I'll say that we need accountability, and I hope we'll have more transparency, accountability from the town of Walpole to the ratepayers. Thank you.
Thank you, and Patrick, 1 minute to you.
Just a couple of things. It's been an absolute true honor to have been your sewer and water commissioner, and I hope I continue to do so. I have no agenda, no hidden agenda, no other agenda. I'm not using this as a stepping stone. I'm just interested in clean, safe, cost-efficient water. And I think I've been an asset to the town, and I would like to remain that. And I would hope you would vote for me, and I really want you to vote for me on June 1st. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the candidates for choosing to run for office and for all your time and effort. We have Patrick Fasanello, Pradeep Mishra, and Michael Cialella as candidates. You will vote for 2 on June 1st. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So I believe we are still waiting for a select board candidate.
And maybe we could just have Mr. O'Neill
Sure.
come.
Mr. O'Neill, would you like to come up? So there are 2 candidates for select board. This is an uncontested race. And we have Glenn Matthew, who is not here at the moment, and James O'Neill. And would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So hi everybody, I'm Jim O'Neill, and I have lived in Walpole for well over 30 years at this point, and have been involved in the political process here in town for some time. I've been elected to the select board 3 times. This will be my 4th time. I've been a town meeting member for over 20 years. And I've been appointed to the FinCom twice, and I've served in numerous other capacities over the years, as you can imagine. My wife and I, as I said, moved here over 30 years ago. We raised 3 wonderful daughters. We just married off our 3rd of 3 this past weekend. That was a big milestone for us. But the town has been great to us. All of my daughters graduated from the Walpole Public Schools. They're all off having incredible professional and personal lives, and I couldn't be more proud of them. Nancy and I are also grandparents now, with a little 3.5-year-old and just about a 4-month-old grandson. They live over in Medfield, and we're certainly thrilled about that. 2 years ago, I retired, and after 42 years in the financial services industry, I've gone now into retirement mode where I can enjoy my grandchildren and what my daughters are up to, and the various other things that Nancy and I do day in and day out, and then of course what we do here for the town. So that's really me.
So thank you. What do you feel are the greatest challenges coming up for the select board?
So there are a number of challenges that are coming up.
I've got a couple of notes here that I'll just refer to, just give me a moment to open those up. So what I put down is I have 6 of them that I thought I would mention. One of them was maintaining our, what I call the middle of the road position in terms of the tax rate here in town. If you look at the 14 or so towns that generally abut Walpole or are within one town of Walpole, and take a look at the tax rates, Walpole falls right in the middle. You can go out to the state DOR website and see that. And I think that's the place we want to be. We certainly don't want to be at the top, and I don't think we want to be at the bottom. So being in the middle is a very comfortable spot, and I think it's something we need to maintain. So that's the first one. Second was adopting programs for seniors for tax deferrals and abatements. There are some programs that are being actively worked on at the legislative level at the State House right now, and I assume that we would adopt those as they come along. We have 6 that are already in place, and that information is available on the assessor's website. And I think that's an important element of maintaining, a high quality of life for people here in town. Financial discipline. I like to think that we follow a very disciplined financial management process here in town. I think this is much to the credit of Jim Johnson and his leadership team in finance, and what we do with the finance committee and so forth. This is an ongoing challenge, though. There are revenue challenges at the state level we need to be aware of, and we need to monitor closely and be prepared to react to that. So strong financial discipline, I think, is going to be very, very important here. I also think that discipline extends to things like ensuring that we have adequate stabilization reserves, capital reserves, that we're funding the other post-employment benefits. We have a large unfunded liability there. We've been working at that for a number of years. We need to keep that up. These things all fall into that, financial discipline, financial management discipline that I referred to. The prison. Many of you know that the Walpole prison Cedar Junction has been closed, and as of the middle of this year, there are no more prisoners there. The facility is still functioning somewhat as a prison, only because there's an administrative staff there that'll get moved out by the end of the year. So the big question is, well, what happens next with that site? We've made quite a lot of noise with our reps and senator, and with the Department of Corrections and the Department of Capital Asset Management under the Healy administration, to say that Walpole needs a seat at the table as we look at what happens at that prison site. And they're still in the process, as I said, of getting out of there, so the capital asset management people haven't yet really started the work that they need to do. But we're insisting on a seat at the table. We want to make sure that whatever happens at that site is to the benefit of the town of Walpole. You may know that we lost, when it ceased to be a prison with prisoners, we lost our prison mitigation funding, which was about $750,000 a year. One of the points I have made to our reps and senator is that we need to figure out how to replace that. So whatever goes there needs to replace that $750 and even more if possible. Affordable housing, we have a 40B challenge here in town. We've been underneath the 10% limit that the state has asked or required that all cities and towns get to for affordable housing. And as a result, we've become a target for 40B development. We're getting close to the 10% mark, and we need to maintain that as we go forward. And we have a number of programs that we're working on to make sure that that happens, so that we don't go above and below and above and below and keep opening ourselves up to the 40B work. I think the thing that we did at the Gilmore site, which we called a friendly 40B, was a bit of a novel thing for Walpole, where we got a lot of concessions from the developer under 40B that we would not have gotten if it was not done on both friendly terms. And I think that development, although it will still be a big 40B, I mean, it's a 40B, I think we got concessions that are going to make it be a whole lot more palatable to the folks in Walpole, and especially the setbacks that we got at the street and some of the other things that we did there. But that's an ongoing challenge. And then economic development. You know, we hear a lot about taxes, tax rates. I've brought it up myself. And one of the things that we need to do is continue to look for opportunities to introduce economic development into the town so that we can share the burden of the residential rate with the commercial and industrial rates. As you heard in Dick Sicaro's note, which was read by Nancy earlier today. So we have a number of things. There are many more issues than that, but those are the ones that come to my mind immediately, and the things that I know we'll be focused on as we go through what will be my next term as a member of the select board.
Thank you. We actually received a question in advance for select board. Walpole has been designated a green community. How are we benefiting by this? Is someone staying aware of possible grants?
So yes, we are actually quite pleased with some of the work we've done on the green work. We are a green community. We've adopted that, all of that from the state. You have seen a lot of things that we've done in town. The lights are one, the overhead lights on the streets. We actually purchased those and have put LED lights in place that are, they turn on and off with photovoltaic switches. And so we're saving the town a ton of money there and fulfilling, one of the commitments we made under the Green Communities Act. We are also looking actively at solar. At this most recent town meeting, we just agreed to, and as of last night, the select board signed agreements to drive solar at the new middle school, the high school, and I forget the other place, but the one other spot. And so solar is an ongoing thing that we're looking at. We will be continuing to push that as we see new development in town. It's a good opportunity for us to take cost out of the equation and introduce clean energy into the equation. And so I'm excited by what we're doing there. There are a number of other things that we are doing in terms of the Green Communities Act, and we will continue to be open to that. And I look forward to exploring those as we go forward. But we're pleased with the direction we've been going in so far.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the audience?
I have a question actually regarding the green communities. Do we have someone dedicated to working on that? I know we did at one point, or we were sharing someone.
Yeah, we were sharing someone. I think we still are. I'd have to check that, Nancy, but I believe we still are. But yeah, we're paying a lot of attention to it, as you can see by just the agreements that we've recently signed. It's important that we pay attention to not only opportunities for the town, but also the grants that can come with those, and that's where that person would play a major role. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I know we sent you some other questions in advance. Is there anything that you want to share, anything else you want to share with the audience?
So I would just simply say that I have really appreciated my time on the select board. As I said, this will be my fourth foray into it. And I feel as though I've added a lot of value. I think that my professional expertise has played well into what the requirements are for the role. I also think the fact that I am a long-term resident here in the town also factors in nicely. I have enjoyed being on the select board and will continue to enjoy being on the select board. And I think we have an enormous amount of good opportunity ahead of us. And we just have to continue to do the things that we've been doing. I would also just like to commend the employees of the town, which I think all too often we forget, especially as we talk about these elected positions. Day in and day out, we have a number of employees in the town that are the people who do all the things that deliver all the services to us, and sometimes we don't really see that. In addition, we have some just wonderful administration in my mind, led by Jim Johnson, our town administrator. And when I think about some of the things that we have discussed here tonight, and I think about the role Jim has played, and not only Jim, but his finance team and other members of his leadership team, we're very, very lucky to have Jim. And it's a pleasure to work with Jim day in and day out. I think that same thing can be said for the other administrators in the town. I don't work as closely with Bridget Goff, who is the superintendent of schools. Obviously, that's the school department's. But I do get to work with Bridget, and I can tell you she's just top-notch. And likewise with our police chief and our fire chief. We're really very lucky with the people that we have here in the town with us, and I think it's important to acknowledge that. These successes that we have, and we have a lot of them, don't happen by accident. They happen because we have some really wonderful people that are making them happen here in the town. And I just want to make sure that I don't forget to say that.
Thank you very much for your time. Jim O'Neill, who is a candidate for select board.
Thank you.
I believe we have some RTM candidates in the room. Yes. so it'll be easy to figure out the order of precincts. And I'm just gonna ask you, before, if you could just sit down afterwards, we've asked our TM candidates to come up and introduce themselves, a brief introduction, and if you can then just sit down, because I do have a few closing statements before everybody starts talking. So Nancy, you are up first, if you don't mind actually sitting at the mic.
Hi, I'm Nancy Dayan. I am running for re-election in Precinct 1. I've been an RTM member since 2017. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Chase. I am a current library trustee and I am running on a write-in campaign for one of the open seats in Precinct 3. We've been in Walpole since 2021. I have a child who attends Boyden and we've been enjoying getting involved in town politics. I was one of those mic runners in high school in New Hampshire that are so hard to find now. So thank you again, Precinct 3.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Kathy Santiago Taylor. I am running for re-election on Precinct 8. I have been in Walpole for over 20 years. I have a graduating senior at Walpole High, and I have a upcoming 8th grader, so 7th grader at JMS. We have enjoyed our time here at Walpole, and I hope to continue serving the town as I find it really, really important.
Thank you. You're an RTM member too?
I'm back, Jim O'Neill. I am up for re-election to RTM as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, just to remind voters here and people watching, election day is Saturday, June 1st. The polls will be open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Applications for absentee ballots are available now at the town clerk's website or by sending a written request to the clerk's office at Town Hall. Please remember that democracy is not a spectator sport, and please vote. Good evening, thank you to everyone who's here, and thank you to the league for having me.